Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
And then, is there a motion to accept the minutes of June 16th?
Motion.
Second?
Do we have a second on the minutes from June 16th? Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And then the
I
minutes.
have to abstain because I was not in attendance at that meeting, so. We're talking about the 16th.
16th.
We're looking at the
16th.
16th, that's the one that I wasn't, that's the one I abstained from.
Board of Election minutes from June 30th. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion on a second.
Any comments or questions? My comment is that I'll abstain because I was not in attendance at that meeting. We have a second, so all those in favor? Great. District-wide administration items?
Thank you. Mr. This evening, my report includes a certificated and a non-certificated report as well as additional compensation, and I've just handed out an addendum as well.
Do we have a motion to accept that?
Motion. Is it the content in its entirety? Is that what you mean?
Do we have a second?
I give a motion. Second.
Okay, great. Do we have any question or comments on that? All those in favor? Okay, now we would need a motion to adopt it in its entirety.
Motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Great. All those in favor? Great. Next is finance and facilities.
Ms. Broadway?
Thank you. The first item on my report are bid awards. As per all the details in Appendix A, there are 18 different bid awards.
Do we have a motion to accept the 18 bid awards?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. My next item is a standard item. It's the health services contracts, this time with Hauppauge and Mineola. When we have students of ours who reside here, but they attend a private or parochial school in a different district in catchment area, we have to pay for the health services related to those students. That's as per Appendix B.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept that?
Motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. Item C is disposition of obsolete equipment. We have social studies textbooks at High School West, and we also have elementary school library books. Full listings of both have been in the district clerk's office.
Okay. Do we have a motion for the disposition of the books?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. The next item is an Eagle Scout project approval. We had some work done at the natatorium, which was done under the guidance of our facilities administrator and our grounds crew, who made sure that what was being done was appropriate and in line with what we would have wanted done. The Eagle Scout did some beautification in front of the natatorium on the left and right side of the entrance. So this is an approval of that project. We had a timing issue that the student needed to complete the project before we were able to have a board meeting.
Motion to accept the donation? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I'd like to say this was Lawrence Wolfsonken. He's one of the robotics team leaders. He spoke very nicely at, I think, 2 of our school board meetings in the past year. And he received, he's graduating senior, he received tremendous accolades during the senior years and all that. So he's a great kid. And he did reach out to me also personally before he did that, in his attempts to follow, the protocol by the book to actually get this all done in a timely fashion. So, he did everything we possibly could do. So that's why he was constipated on time, but he did a great job.
He did, yeah, we had no issues at all with his work. So it's done very nice.
And very detailed plans.
Yes.
That were submitted for everything that went to them, she was saying.
He's a great kid. So do we have a motion, we have a second, we have comments, and all those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is related to any transfer to capital line items that we have. We, as you know, put forth and received approval on 3 projects for our transfer to capital line in our budget. The projects are a potential generator over at High School East, the generator here at this building for the server room, and emergency backup, and also West Hollow School atrium renovation. Every time we do a project, a capital project, we need to go through what's called a SEQRA review, which is an environmental assessment. We are designating ourselves as the authority on that, which we must do as a school district, and then also designating that there is no type 2 action, which means none of those projects will impact the environment negatively. So that is what that approval is requested of.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions?
I just wanted to ask, so with physically transferring money at this point, is that, I
No.
just want to be clear with what you
Yep.
decided this
The
part.
transfer to capital is one of our, in our budget, it's one of the very, very last budget line items, which is, we call it transfer to capital. We fund about $1 million this year. We funded about $1.8 million in the budget for capital projects.
I understand, but for
So,
religious, what
yep.
we're asking for, do we actually have to transfer that money
Nope.
now before the project is
We
being
always
approved?
move the money into a capital fund, a separate fund where we put all of our capital money. So we do that work, that happens automatically. This is just to authorize that we have no negative environmental impact. So the wording about transfer to capital is just to indicate that's where the money's coming from. It's in a transfer to capital budget line. That money always goes into the capital fund as part of
But
an
it's not
accounting
being
procedure.
earmarked, I want to be clear, it's not being earmarked for it. Technically, it might be, we're thinking it's gonna be for this, but it's not, it doesn't have to be spent on this, is that correct?
It was approved in the budget for those projects. If we end up having another $10,000 left over because something came in less, we can do something correlated to those projects. But I can't say in the budget that we're doing a West Hollow atrium and then decide we're gonna scrap that and doing something completely different. So that's why we go through in the budget process a pretty detailed summary of
Okay, maybe
what those
I
capital
apologize,
projects are.
maybe my point is not being clear, but I thought we agreed we weren't going to actually spend any of that money unless we were getting a certain amount of
Oh,
aid.
that's related to the high school east generator, and that is correct. That money is set aside, we're not spending
Keeping
it
this separate?
up until no, it's all in the same fund. It's designated separately in as much as we know what that money is that's been assigned for the high school east generator. We have not yet gotten full approval, so we're not doing
Oh, I thought we
anything
were
with that.
tying the two together.
Yep, yeah, there are 3 different projects. One is funded
I
hopefully
see,
by
okay.
FEMA, and then the other 2, we're not spending any of the FEMA money yet because we need approval
Of
before
course,
we do
there's
that.
nothing to spend money on.
So this approval is not saying we're spending the money, this is approval that it's earmarked to use it. And when we get to the point where we're going to spend it, all of the other conditions that we've talked about and we've worked through need to be met prior to that happening.
Yep, all that is absolutely accurate. What you just approved though was simply and nothing
Right.
more than just an environmental
Right.
assessment. Yep,
You, phase
yep,
one
but
is
all that is
done, you don't
eligible
have to do
as well.
phase
Yes.
2, you're all
Yes.
clean, and
Everything's
we can move
clean,
on, right?
and that just is kind of the first step of the
Yep.
process.
And I just want to clarify that since we are talking about the high school east generator as well, that we're still pending.
Still pending approval.
Pending approval from FEMA, so
Yes.
we're still where we were as to unsure of the dollar. Just want to
Unsure
make
if
sure
we're
that.
moving forward yet. because we
Unsure
haven't
if we're
gotten-
moving forward, unsure of what they're covering, and so, okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that everybody.
We're doing work behind the scenes, but we still don't have the approval. Yeah,
So
we're working with them
not
to
in
clarify
any way moving
information.
forward on that, this is just the environmental.
Just the
portion.
environmental assessment. Yeah, absolutely.
All in favor? Great, next.
Thank you. The next item is a very generous donation by the Bloomberg family. Their son, very sadly, passed away at the age of 42 from brain cancer last summer, and they would like to establish a donation of $500 for the Michael S. Bloomberg Memorial Scholarship to a deserving high school senior soccer player as per criteria in the attachment. So the request is to allow us to establish that scholarship in memory of their son.
Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Do we have a
Second.
Good. Any comments, questions?
I got a comment. You know, we have a lot of these awards that we give out, and do we keep, because I know that in some of the buildings there are plaques, but they're missing names, or they haven't been updated. Is that the responsibility of us as a district or the board, or is that a responsibility of the people who are
The donors.
contributing to the donors, and can we look at that and maybe try to tighten that up or clean that up? Because I know, like, for example, there's I mean, not to digress, but whoever's honored, and I should know this because I stare at that field all the time, but the alums that were lost in 9/11 that the field is honored for.
How many pounds?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. There's an honoree every year for that, and I think, I've actually seen that plaque, and it may not have been updated in the last few years.
In the one that's in High School East,
yes.
by the garden?
There's like a case,
Yeah.
there's like a case that
Okay.
has, so I'm just, I don't know how to, I don't
If,
know.
We can
if
speak
that's
to
an issue that we need to resolve, great, let's resolve it. If it's an issue that the donors need to resolve, let me know, and I'll talk to the folks, because I'm still friendly with.
But I'm not pointing out that.
No,
I'm
that's
not pointing
fine.
out that, I'm just
Absolutely.
wondering, you know, if we keep like do all of these awards have plaques, or is it
No,
just
they
selected
all,
ones?
no, they
Most
don't,
of them?
just selected, and really, it's not the responsibility of the school district or the, the Board of
Okay.
Education at this point in time. If that's something that the board wanted to create a budget line for, then that would be something that you would do. Right.
Oh, that wasn't part of the conversation.
Well, just as an aside, if somebody could take a look at what it is, what we're missing on the Panettiere Collins, plaques, let me know.
They would take care of that.
I know, I wanna reach out to them.
And that was over a year ago that I noticed that, so
Okay.
I can't say that maybe it's been updated.
Okay, we'll look into it tomorrow.
All those in favor?
Thank you. In the spirit of scholarships, Scope is celebrating their 50th anniversary, and they are providing to each member district a $500 scholarship to be awarded by the superintendent of schools to a graduating senior.
Do we have a motion to accept the scholarship?
Motion?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. The next item is the child nutrition program proposed budget. The child nutrition program is a fully self-sustaining program. The general fund does not fund any of the budget at all. So it's just a matter of the board adopting the line item expenses that we anticipate for school lunch.
Great. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. The next item is a donation back to the family of a memorial bench, which is at Forest Park. Camille Izzo was a 35-plus year employee here, and her family donated a bench to Forest Park. We have it at Forest Park. The family would like it back. So the request is to have the bench donated back to that family. They would arrange for pickup and delivery.
Do we have a motion to
Motion.
accept? Do we have a second?
Type of bench is it?
The park bench.
Yeah.
Is it a wooden bench?
Yeah.
or is
So
it-
it's an engraved wooden bench. I think it's wooden.
Yes, it is wooden. And just for information, there are several benches that are at Forest Park, and they will be relocated throughout the district. Two to High School West, I believe. The PTA has made recommendations as to where certain things.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Paul, any other comments or questions?
Any other comment? I mean, I know that there's things at Chestnut Hill, like there are trees and plaques that were planted in honor of people that passed away. Are those just gonna be left there? Are they gonna be repurposed, or
Well,
that's
there,
impractical?
yeah, I do not believe that we'll be, relocating specific trees that
Right.
were planted, but, really, PTA has been great in walking the building with the principal, making things that were donated to the school where they can be relocated to, and we'll be working through all those things this summer. But there's, we have a list of items.
Okay.
Just as an aside, what about like time capsules that were buried, many, many years ago that, I know that there's been a couple of us that have been contacted by various classes who go, you'll have time capsules, whether, I know for a fact there's one in Chestnut Hill right outside the office.
Right.
Is that something that we're gonna entertain? Is that something we're not gonna entertain? you know, how do we determine who the right people to do that is versus, you know, Frankie was there to bury it, but, you know, Joey wants to dig it up. I mean, how are we gonna handle that?
Well, as those requests come forward, then I will bring them to, you know, to the Board of Education. But in terms of Chestnut Hill, some information that was brought to us is that there's a time capsule that's now below concrete.
That's a problem.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to be
no.
making a suggestion to rip up sidewalks and, you know, to try to find a time capsule. As many as we can get to, we'll
To
have
find a
to-
building.
Right.
A Devo album. Get the hat and everything.
But there, you know,
Will you and I get that?
recommendations have been made in terms of specific items and following the track of students, so that, you know, they will remember things that were at Chestnut Hill, and they may revisit them at West Hollow or at High School East, and the same with students from Forest Park. Will revisit when they get to High School West.
So,
And
do-
the families have been wonderful in terms of, you know, our contact with them. And Stephanie has really been instrumental in organizing that, so thank you.
So do we have a motion to,
Allow